So true love, does it exist? Or is it just some manufactured thing from Hollywood or book publishers? Well, with Valentine's Day coming up, I thought I would take a little bit of a look at love and finding true love. Now, I speak from someone who's never experienced true love. I've never experienced a romantic relationship, I've never had a romantic partner. Not because I didn't want one, but because who knows why. I tried, but I've never been able to find someone who wanted to be that for me. Um, so I got thinking about that. I got thinking about that because Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm not necessarily upset about Valentine's Day. I know that it's people say it's a manufactured holiday, but it's really not. I mean, if you know the Saint Valentine, who was it's his saint day, and if you're Catholic or Episcopalian like me, you know you know what that means. So it's his feast day. And he was taught, if you go and look at the history of what he did, that's why Valentine's Day exists. So it's not a manufactured holiday. It's not a greeting card holiday like a lot of people say it is. It actually has roots in the Catholic Church. So that leads me to this: if Saint Valentine's feast day is on February 14th, obviously the whole idea of true love and romantic love is something that is not manufactured by um, Hollywood or modern society. As a kid, a girl growing up, you're told the fairy tales and Prince Charming and Disney, and you hear the songs, the love songs, and all of that. There's this whole industry of making Hallmark movies based on some girl goes to some town and meets some guy and falls in love and blah blah blah. So yeah, you could look at it and say it's a modern issue, but if the Catholic Church canonized this saint or gave him a feast day, love is quite important. I mean, even if you don't believe the Bible is the true word of God, in the Bible there's lots of stories, Old Testament and New Testament, but a lot of Old Testament stories that talk about love. You have Jacob, who spent 14 years in servitude to Rachel's father to win her hand in marriage. You have Ruth and Boaz, which is often held up as the whole just wait for your Boaz, just wait, 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 being dutiful and waiting. And then of course you have the songs of Solomon. So there's a lot of this type of love in the Bible. So that tells me how important it is to the human experience, because the if, whether or not you believe in whatever you believe the Bible is, even if it's just a record of human history, um, it was put in there in the Bronze Age. Very important that it was part of their narrative. So love is in fact part of the human experience. So what happens when you don't experience it? Does that make you less human? I mean, there are times when I feel that way. I feel like there is absolutely something wrong with me, to the point that I'm not quite normal. Hi, I'm Abby Normal. Um, anyway, many years ago, I was talking to my former priest, and he was friends with a lady who wrote a book about dating as a boomer. Um, and she happened to live in the town near where we lived at the time, and he set it up that I could go talk to her. And I went to talk to her, and she is actually a psychologist by training. And she said, when after we had talked for a while, of course it wasn't a professional setting, wasn't a clinical setting, I should say. After we talked a while, she said, when Father Bill called me, I thought that you may have some kind of personality disorder, or there's some kind of issue that I can immediately just tell you this is what the problem is. And she's like, I really don't have any answer for you, unfortunately. So I stumped the psychologist about why this was. Her thinking was that I just didn't get out there enough as I've heard my entire life. You'll meet him when you're not looking. When you give up, you'll find him. You need to put yourself out there more. That's what I've heard my entire life. But what happens when you've done all of that and you still don't find anyone? So that's me. So I don't know. But I think personally, I think the idea of romantic love is something that's valid and part of the human experience. I mean, you have platonic love. You can love, neighbors and friends and people that you work with, and you can love humanity. Um, but it's not that same kind of romantic love. And then of course you have your familiar love, which your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters, if you have any. So you have that kind of love. But as I've seen and I've experienced myself, that isn't sometimes a very strong bond. I mean, I know people, and I've experienced it myself, who have had family that just up and you know don't talk to you anymore or never talk to you. I mean, I experienced that with my own father. So that love is sometimes very strong, and it can be quite fickle. And then, of course, you have that unconditional love that supposedly exists, and the only time I've ever seen it existing is with my dog. My dogs. I've had a couple of dogs in my life. I've had a couple cats in my life, and that's probably the closest and truest thing to unconditional love that you can experience. I mean, I know His Majesty, he's laying right over here right now, um, truly, for whatever you want to call it, loves me. He loves me. He's my protector. He stands around and he takes care of me. He's right here because I'm filming. He has to be by my side all the time. There's a meme I've seen that says, something about I want a man who's loyal and honest and true and loves me. And the other lady says, "Honey, you don't need a man, you need a dog." And perhaps that's the only true love there is out there. It's the only one I've ever experienced. And then, of course, you have your romantic love. And again, I don't think it's a manufactured modern thing, considering that you've got stories from the Bible, you've got stories from other ancient cultures that talk about love. It's such an important piece of the human existence that it can't be something just manufactured. Now, maybe the whole idea of twin flames and your true love and your soulmate, that could be something that's not there, because if you think about it, back in ancient times, how were people going to find their true love? They didn't have the internet. They didn't have match.com to go on and see if they could find somebody. So they just had to find whoever was in the area or in near them or whatever. So the whole idea of that, I can see being more of a modern concept. But I think the whole idea of finding someone to share your life with and to love is not. I've also been seeing, since I've been looking at stuff about this, something called affection deprivation. And I want to look more into this, but from what I gather, it's from people who are in long term, not being with a partner or someone where they can hug and kiss and have that human interaction on that level. Because I can go to work every day and I have colleagues and coworkers that I adore, but it's not that that kind of relationship. We may hug for something, if something's happened or we're happy, we may hug, but by and large, it's not something you're gonna experience every day um, at work. Not having a family, I don't have that outlet either. I've got Roland; he's my family, and so I want to explore more about the affection deprivation and what that means for people, especially people like me who've had it for long term. One thing I did read was saying that it affects your relationships. Now, for me, I've never had a serious relationship, so I don't know how it would long term affect me. But it was saying like people who have been uh, not affectionate with people for a long time. they sometimes can't then get into a relationship. So and have that bonding. So I don't know what that would do for me. Again, not a psychologist. I have no idea what's going on there. But I do want to explore that a little more and see if it's something that how do you overcome it? I mean, if you're not in a romantic relationship and you have absolutely no prospects for that ever to happen, what do you do? How do you overcome that? And I know it was mentioning a lot about COVID. I'm sure a lot of these studies were taken out of the years of the 2 years, 2-ish years that we were on the whole lack of a better word, I can't think of anything right now, lockdown for COVID, and people not being able to have that interaction. So I don't know, but if you were a couple and you were in COVID, you wouldn't have that same problem because you'd be living in the same house. So I don't know how that goes. But anyway, so like I said, I'm not saying anything bad about Valentine's Day. I would love to celebrate it, but it's just one of those things I don't get to celebrate. I would love to have that, but such as my life has been, I've never been able to have it. So, and I'm almost resigned to it at this point because it's been so long. Um, and I've never known anything other than that. So I know people who have had serious relationships or married, and the partner leaves them or their partner dies. They might go through a transition period, and it's difficult. But for me, it's nothing. It's my everyday life. Now, being an only child growing up, I didn't have siblings, so I didn't have anything there. And as a young adult, I didn't have any partners. I didn't have, even in elementary school, when the kids are boyfriend girlfriend, they're cute and they have their little. We had one a couple of days ago at one of the schools we stopped at. The little girl was she was a little domineering thing, and she was talking about how that he's my boyfriend, and he just the poor kid, he just rolled his eyes like, oh. But but yeah, I didn't even have that in elementary school, so that's what it's always made me feel a little weird. I've always felt almost less human. The whole Smith song, I am human and I need to be loved. Morrissey's whining. Well, I'm going to whine like Morrissey then because I am. I've never had it. So I don't know a life without having a romantic partner. I don't know a life with it, I should say. So anyway, I have rambled enough. So I hope that if you're celebrating Valentine's Day with your partner, with your significant other, that you have a wonderful day. If you're like me and you don't have one, you are making the best of that. I know there's a thing called Galentine's Day. I Where I used to work, my director in the library, she was big about Galentine's Day. So if that's your thing, celebrate that. And if it's just another day, it's just another day. Or if you like the 15th, when you get all the candy 50% off, that's even better, right? So I will see you in the next video.